Hi, Amandeep. Thank you for your essays and sorry for the delay in sending you back the feedback to your essays. We've been really swamped by emails lately, so this caused the backup. Now let's have a look at your essay about um, creative activities versus reading, right? Okay. You see, I'm having trouble recalling the task because unfortunately, you have not included the task in the file with your answer. Please, in the future, in order to increase the speed of feedback too, because it takes me an additional 2 minutes to go back, open the right page, and have a look at the task. Please include the task right on top of the essay that you have written, because it simplifies work and it adds me another 2 minutes to provide you feedback. Okay, so let's go. In today's competitive era, imbibing the best skills into a child have become a necessity. I firmly believe that a child can gain more values and skills by doing an enjoyable yet challenging activity rather than mere reading alone. Okay, yes, very good ideas, very nice ideas. I can see some complex vocabulary too, but we have to be careful with the precise use of vocabulary. For example, you cannot really say to imbibe skills into a child. To imbibe means to absorb. So you do it yourself. A child can imbibe something. Well, to imbibe initially meant to drink something. So this needs to be rewritten using appropriate, precise vocabulary here. But I understand what you mean, but unfortunately, this won't bring you a lot of points vocabulary-wise. I am not sure what you mean by values here, because when we speak about learning values or adopting values, it's more about the moral side. So you combine values with skills here. So I'm not sure this is completely relevant in the context of this topic. In terms of the quality of the introduction, it's a nice introduction for starters, but it can be made much better if you expand it a bit, add clarity, and in a way present the debate in a bit more detail. Okay, I can see your personal opinion stated here, which is great. And now let's have a look at your body paragraphs. Reading has ample benefits, full stop or semicolon. And then if you have a full stop, you're going to capitalize nevertheless and put a comma after it, or you're going to keep the nevertheless as it is and add a comma again if you have a semicolon. So you really have to take care of your punctuation, because this will count as inaccuracy in the criterion of grammatical range inaccuracy. So you don't really want to lose points because of a couple of punctuation marks. Nevertheless, playing on game consoles can nurture, Nodi, such an amazing set, singular, of skills to a child, which just reading cannot help to gain. Okay, I understand the idea, but there's an issue with vocabulary use again, and a bit of word order as well. You cannot nurture a set of skills. You can nurture a behavior. You can nurture values again. And you cannot nurture something to someone. Something can be nurtured in someone. Okay, so, and if you say such an amazing set of skills, it's not really clear what you mean. So perhaps you would like to specify what is this amazing set of skills. This is due to the fact that while playing electronic games, you don't play electronic game consoles. We typically say that you play electronic games, and then you had consoles 2 lines ago, so you don't really want to repeat a word that often. A child can develop spatial, cognitive, reflexive, and creative skills. Great skills, great vocabulary, perfectly used topical vocabulary. Yes, way to go. For an example, no, you don't need the and. No, for example, a recent study by Harvard, no, probably by Harvard University or by Harvard scholars, really have to be more specific here because the university itself doesn't do a study and it's not a person. Shows that the children who spend 2 hours every week on electronic games, um, I wouldn't say on electronic games, no, playing electronic games, or find another way to rephrase this, have outperformed their counterparts by 20%, okay? But their counterparts who did do or didn't do what? You really have to explain what the counterparts were like. By 20% in a physiometric test. You don't need the hyphen no. And I would use an article here, a physiometric test. Okay, what exactly was tested in that physiometric test? Because physio means body parameters, right? And probably it's not about cognitive skills. So you might want to develop this because it's not completely clear and hence not completely convincing. Therefore, a child can develop very crucial skills. You don't need to put a very to crucial because it has this very inside. Crucial skills from brainstorming and enjoyable activities. Wait a second. Your whole paragraph was about playing on game consoles. And then you go back to brainstorming and enjoyable activities in general. This is a bit confusing, and this breaks the logic and coherence of the whole paragraph. You could have simply said that, therefore, a child can develop crucial skills doing such an enjoyable activity as playing video games, and you would have been absolutely on point and clear and precise. Okay, nice example, nice logic. However, you haven't said anything about reading comparison, but well, you said reading has ample benefits. Okay. A book reader can have more academic knowledge than a sports person. Okay, perhaps you could use a linking word here. There is absolutely no connection. And again, there is no connection between the introduction and the first paragraph here. Maybe you could use something simple like first, second, or first, next, or on the one hand, on the other hand. There should be some balance in presenting these arguments in the body paragraphs. So you might start with, even though a book reader can have more academic knowledge than a sports person, she may still not be at the same level of confidence as an athlete when facing a challenge. This is because sports, you don't say a sport or a sport, does not only teach how to face a challenge, don't repeat yourself, facing a challenge twice, use a synonym, but also how to be ready for a competitive call. Why do you need this hyphen? No hyphen here, at any time. Nice vocabulary, but fix the minor errors. Okay, so this is a very nice contrast, academic knowledge versus confidence. Okay, so, and you said confidence and facing a challenge. So I expect your example to illustrate that. To illustrate, research by Toronto House of Business have shown that 63% of top businessmen, business people probably, in Canada, as of 2019, had only achieved passing marks in their theory center subject, but all of them were A grade, and you have to capitalize A because this is a qualificative, it's a grade, achievers in their physical education and creative learning classes. Consequently, activities such as sports make a child mentally and physically strong. Okay, wait a second. You started with confidence and the ability to face a challenge. Your example goes somewhere else. I'm not sure why you said that they only achieved passing marks for theory-centered subjects. But all of them were eighth graders. I mean, okay, what comes out of this example? The ideas you have in your example are good, but it feels like they are arranged not very efficiently. That's why I have to stop and think, wait a second, why? But then I find the right line and I realize they were not really good at theory, right, like math or something, but they were super good. They were A-grade achievers in PE and the creative learning classes. Okay, why would we need creative learning classes if we discuss sports? Do not include more than one single idea, because the attention of the reader gets dissipated and you don't really know what to think anymore. You're not sure what you're following. So this paragraph has very nice ideas, but it really has to be unified. You have to start with a point, and it felt like you're starting with confidence, and you have to finish that. Yet you finish with sports make a child mentally and physically strong. You have to either complete the paragraph with these details or remove them from the end and wrap up with the appropriate confidence logic. Conclusion. To conclude, I believe that playful activities make a child ready with unparalleled skill set. I would say endowed with an unparalleled skill set, which is required to achieve success in this competitive world. Okay, that's a one sentence conclusion, but yeah, I understand. It does connect. Again, don't forget that the conclusion has to summarize the two main arguments that you have presented. So this was a great essay. Let's have a look at the second one. And this is about whether teaching should be entertaining or not. Schools can consider it a major portion in the development of the child. I wouldn't say schools, I would say learning or being taught, because school is a place to be developed. I mean, it's a place where a child develops, or it's a place where a child learns new things. Some people argue that these teaching institutes should be more entertaining and enjoyable to attend, semicolon. However, comma, I am in accord. This is a very unusual way to express your accord. So perhaps you could use something more frequently used, like, however, I am of the same opinion with the latter belief, not later, but latter, like this, the one which comes last, that imparting best education should be the foremost aim of the schools. Okay, what if the best education still has an element of entertaining? Perhaps you mean that only imparting education should be the foremost aim of the schools, because what you add here is best, a qualificative for quality, and while your contrast is between entertaining versus non-entertaining, like classical learning. So you're going slightly astray here, if you know what I mean. Other than that, yes, well, nice lead-in, nice contrast, your opinion, but please pay attention to the fact that just adding one word, you can really divert the attention of the reader and add a bit of confusion. Firstly, schools cannot devote much time in entertaining the pupils in order to teach all subjects. Okay. Devote much time to something, not in. This is because the holistic development should be given paramount importance. Okay, so how does holistic development contradict using entertainment? If it's holistic, on the contrary, I would say that there should be entertainment because it's holistic, right? For example, a research from the Toronto Board of Districts, no, I think Toronto District Board, Toronto District Board School Board, shows that for a student of high school, for a high school student, this wordiness can be reduced to have a level about 140. He or she must study all the major subjects, which are mathematics, science, geography, history, and biology, till secondary schools. Okay. Therefore, schools need to pertain more time to dedicate, not pertain, I would say, for teaching all the required subjects rather than allowing pupil leisure time for entertainment. Again, that's a little issue with interpretation, I would say. I could easily refute this argument saying that we're not discussing leisure time, we're discussing making learning more entertaining. For example, making geography not just boring, but more motivating, more attractive, learning science in a fun way, learning mathematics, playing games and having contests. This is what is meant by teaching should be more entertaining. It's not about providing more leisure time. So be very careful how you build your argument, because if your argument doesn't stand, it's not convincing. If it's not convincing, your task achievement suffers. Secondly, schools, no need to capitalize this, need to be strict with the students in order to pave the right path for the future. Okay, how strict? Let's see. And how does this connect to the entertainment? It is because of the fact that young students have a tender brain. What do you mean by tender? I mean, this is unusual. A tender brain doesn't mean that they will get distracted. You can say that it's a. I don't even know how to say that, to use the word brain, but I wouldn't use this. You can say that young students are easily distracted, or young students are so curious or so inquisitive, so that tendency of getting distracted or becoming distracted, because this is an academic essay, you don't want to use the word get anywhere. In classrooms, it's very high if the actions or behavior is not restricted. Are you sure? Again, I could refute this argument. I could easily refute this argument, but you really have to be convincing when you say, because you mainly say that the discipline has to be very harsh, because you know the young pupils, they need to be disciplined because they don't know how to organize themselves. This is a bit old-fashioned, to say the least. To exemplify, a study from University of Toronto shows that 90% of students who attend boarding schools overperform one word, not two words. Their counterparts, again, who are the counterparts? What are they like? What did they have or what didn't they have in comparison to those who attended boarding schools? Like, who are the other students? The regular ones, those who had homeschooling, or those who went to public schools. So I'm not sure who are the counterparts. Due to entertainment prohibitions in on school campuses, no need for hyphen here. Okay. Consequently, to confide all the taught information in students, this is a very unusual, again, to say the least, use of vocabulary. So you really need to rewrite this to make sure that the words are used appropriately. The way of imparting knowledge should not be a source of entertainment. So you probably mean that in order for the information that is taught to be remembered the most efficacious way by students, the way of imparting knowledge should not be a source of entertainment. Okay, so entertainment leads to underperformance academically. This is what you mean. Okay. To conclude, for holistic development and to help students in inculcating, try not to use overly sophisticated vocabulary if it doesn't fit the context. People don't really speak or write like this. You cannot say to help students in inculcating all the taught information. Assimilating, yes. Assimilating is absolutely appropriate. Inculcating is way too sophisticated for this. I believe that schools should not be a source of not pleasing pleasure, probably, the pupils. Okay, again, this is a matter of vocabulary and grammar. So you can rephrase the sentence and put pleasing in a different place, but the way it is written like this is not a natural way of using English. So you go back to the holistic development, but I think you should really look up the meaning of holistic development in the context of teaching and learning, because it seems to me that you understand it slightly differently. So overall, this is a good essay, but if we look at it closer, we can see vocabulary misuse, though you have really appropriate topical vocabulary, but remember, try not to use something sophisticated just for the sake that it's sophisticated. And you have to be very careful how you build your argument. You have to be careful not to be too confusing, or you have to make sure that your argument is valid and can be supported and is believable. Other than that, this is a very good starting point, and I'm sure that you are going to improve more and more over time. Thanks, and looking forward to more of your essays.